greatest thing about my business is working with my family, and the worst part of my business is working with my family. But I knew from the beginning that I had to be different than the other guys. There's always got to be a Picasso on the wall.
A tale of perseverance, hidden family histories, and an enterprise founded on pawned goods awaits you. The show has been a smashing success for almost 20 years, drawing in millions of viewers with its compelling blend of historical events, negotiation, and regular people seeking to strike a bargain. Rick Harrison, the brains behind the program and the company, has transformed pawnbrokering into an addictive television series, and he is at the center of everything. Despite Rick's indisputable commercial success, his private life is a considerably more complicated and dramatic tale. Behind the scenes of the family business, which Rick has dedicated his life to growing, there is a story of family tragedy, legal struggles, and sacrifices. From losing his sister at a young age to battling health issues, Rick's formative years were defined by the challenges he faced as a member of a military family. These things shaped him deeply, and he became a dogged businessman and self-made magnate as a result. But new information about his family has been coming to light, and it has added another dimension to the man's history. Get ready to be shocked when we learn about Rick's personal struggles and how they impact the empire he has worked tirelessly to build. Not only did Rick have a deep fascination with history and science, but he also adored the Royal Navy of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Being quite interested in history, he was a great admirer of the thrilling tales. He went to Taft Middle School, which is in the San Diego Unified School District, while he could still go to school. The entrepreneurial spirit and passion in business that Rick inherited from his parents led him to a life of hustling. Dropping out of high school in April of 1981, he set his sights on making $2,000 a week selling phony Gucci bags. After losing money in their real estate company, the Harrison family uprooted and settled in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rick's dad started a new business on Las Vegas Boulevard South, a 300-square-foot store selling used gold and silver coins. Rick, who had recently turned 17, was having a wonderful time until he fell pregnant with Kim, his girlfriend. Tragically, Rick had his first miscarriage at this time in his life. Rick and Kim had the same grief over their first child's death that he felt during his pregnancy. The outcome was that the young couple chose to tie the knot, which brought them closer together instead of further apart. Their first child, a son called Corey, was born in 1983, and they welcomed their second child, an Adam, just 2 years later. However, shortly after Adam was born, Rick and Kim ended their relationship. Prior to meeting Tracy, Rick was in a dark place. Nobody understood the whole story of the couple's breakup, and he was burdened with pain. 9 months after his recent divorce from Kim, Rick went on a blind double date with Tracy, who would go on to become his second wife. After dating for 6 months, they moved in together and were married 8 months later. By then, they were parents to Corey and Adam. By the time he was 23 years old, Rick had amassed enough wealth to join his father as a partner in the business. Rick was able to help his father run the family business better by putting his newfound understanding of history and physics to use at this period. For instance, he would give each coin a unique backstory, which would make them more interesting to collectors and increase their value. Along with helping out around the house, Rick also repossessed cars on a nightly basis. But when things started looking up for their company, he opted to quit working nights and focus on his day job. 5 years later, the family moved to a bigger building on Fremont Street. But after just 2 years, they had to move again because they couldn't renew their lease. After that, Rick and his dad decided the store would be a good pawn shop. He elaborated by saying that they thought it was the most sensible step to do next. Unfortunately, a restriction imposed in 1955 by Las Vegas limited the amount of pawn licenses, so they couldn't do it right away. By the 1980s, the city's population had surpassed 200,000 and was experiencing fast increase according to the population count. So in order to apply for a pawn license, a highly sought-after and extraordinarily rare license, Rick and his father corresponded with the municipal statistician on a weekly basis. The Harrisons had to deal with a variety of legal obstacles after the population hit 250,000. In 1989, when the population had reached that important milestone, they were still unable to receive their pawn license. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, located at 73 Las Vegas Boulevard South and less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip, was also opened that year. On the beginning, the father and son duo's store specialized on selling rare historical artifacts and one-of-a-kind sports memorabilia. Regardless, jewelry became their most sought-after and lucrative product in no time. They eventually became well-known in Las Vegas and were able to grow their business. By 2005, they were lending millions of dollars yearly, which brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest revenue. In 2001, the firm started selling uncommon sports artifacts, such as a Super Bowl ring that belonged to football player Brock Williams. It soon gained a reputation for selling unique sports goods with fascinating histories. They helped gamblers who had pawned their belongings to buy petrol for their journey home as well. The History Channel, captivated by their meteoric rise to fame, decided to branch out into the entertainment business and launch Pawn Stars. It is widely thought that Left Field Pictures' Brent Montgomery and Cobby Gaines were the minds behind Pawn Stars. They were captivated by the myriad of interesting pawn shops scattered in the downtown area of Las Vegas in 2008 on their vacation there. They sought for a family-run company less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip, after realizing small shops may sell unique things. The location was close enough to be considered for the show. They managed to track down the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in the end. More than 10,000 unique products are available at the shop. Long had Rick, the store's manager and co-owner, dreamed of having a program about his business. Featured in a 2001 PBS program, this store is well known in the community. It was at first turned down by HBO when Brent and Colby pitched the concept of Pawn Stars. The main issue was that they were not fond of the original idea, but they did consent to the idea being tweaked into the modern family-friendly shape that we know and love. The show was originally called Pawn Stars, but it was renamed to Pawn Stars, since the new title better describes the content. The name is a pun on the phrase Pawn Stars. When the show was filming, the store would be off-limits to everyone but a small group of pre-approved clients. The Harrison family's meteoric climb to fame was mostly attributable to the show. This program was able to grow and return year after year because a large number of people watched it, gave it good reviews, and wanted to see more episodes. After Jersey Shore overtook it in January 2011, Pawn Stars became the most watched show on the History Channel and the second most watched reality program of all time. Licensed to Pawn Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver, Rick's autobiography was released on June 7, 2011. Upon its publication on June 26, 2011, it has already risen to the 22nd position on the New York Times bestseller list. However, this year was also sad for Rick since he got a divorce from Tracy, his second wife. Rick Harrison shocked everyone the next year by announcing his engagement to Deanna Barrett, despite his history of 2 divorces. Deanna Burdett was likewise divorcing her husband at one point. What thrilled Rick more than anything was the show's success and his rising fan appeal. One professional highlight of his career was a guest appearance in the Impractical Jokers episode, I Lost My Head in Vegas, alongside Chumlee and Corey, in which they portrayed their own characters. Within the span of 4 days, Rick made an appearance on The Middle, portraying the character of an antique shop owner. He was fortunate to have 3 stepdaughters, Serena, Kiana, and Marissa, during this time since he married Deanna Barrett in Laguna Beach, California. The Micro Touch 1 razor, marketed specifically to males, has featured Rick in its television commercials since January 2014. He was chosen to represent the product. A few months after Pawn Stars premiered on the History Channel, another show created by the same individuals, United States of America, debuted. Important artifacts from pivotal moments in history were on display. A different show called The game show Pawnery premiered on the History Channel in July 2014. Rick, Corey, and Chumley compete against other contestants on the show to win prizes from the gold and silver pawn shop's inventory, including cash and valuable objects. Numerous unfortunate events befell Rick and his family, and none of them could have been prevented. Tragically, Rick's father, Richard, also known as the Old Man, passed away in June 2018. Rick broke the news to his 45,000 Instagram followers and revealed that his father's death was caused by Parkinson's disease, despite Rick's apparent success and the smooth running of the Pawn Stars season in June 2018. An official from the Harrison family confirmed Richard's death and offered the same message that Rick had posted to Instagram. My father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, often known as the Old Man, passed away this morning surrounded by family and friends. Members of our family, the staff of Gold and Silver Pawn, and all of his devoted followers spread out throughout the globe will miss him tremendously. The History Channel also released a statement expressing their sympathies to the victims' loved ones. The demise of our dear friend Richard the Old Man Harrison, a treasured member of the History Channel and Pawn Stars family, has left us in a state of profound grief. Because of his honesty and insight, we will miss him dearly. We want the Harrison family to know that we are thinking about them during this trying time. Also mentioned was the impact Rick's father had on him as a child. I was fortunate to have such a cool old man as my father. He was both my idol and my hero. I am thankful that I had the opportunity to share him with a large number of other people who were able to witness what a wonderful family man he was. In addition, he stated that he had a rich life and that he had a profound impact on people all over the world through Pawn Stars by teaching them the significance of humor, family, and hard work. During this challenging time, we ask that you please accept our need for privacy. Your prayers and well wishes mean the world to us. Rick even went to the extent of publishing a second photo of his dad, this one showing him in his Navy uniform when he was a young man, along with the following caption: I lost a parent, a teacher, a friend, and countless more today. The old guy succumbed to Parkinson's illness earlier today after a valiant fight. I will see you after this, Dad, and you know how much I love you. When Rick Harrison's father passed away, each member of the Harrison family went through a great deal of sadness. Due to the fact that he was left to operate the store and take care of the family, Rick was put through a difficult period. A pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus struck in 2019, which had a negative impact on his company. Since there are so many individuals who are having trouble making ends meet, you would expect that pawn shops would be doing exceptionally well during the pandemic. However, this was not the case for a significant number of pawn businesses. There was a momentary surge in business activity during the beginning of the epidemic, but it swiftly subsided within a short period of time. Rick discussed how the pawnshop business was not prepared for the impact that COVID-19 has on the sector in an interview with Fox News. It was his assertion that the majority of people were no longer interested in coming to pawn shops since they were so preoccupied with their day-to-day lives. Due to the increase in the number of instances, he was forced to shut down his company in March of 2020. Up until the end of the month, the banking services were available, but the tourism side of the business was closed for a period of 30 days. Rick was still dedicated to the prosperity of his company, and he emphasized that he and the entire crew at the well-known Gold and Silver Pawn Shop were ready to put in even more effort. It was during an interview that he did in April 2020 to a local Las Vegas news station that he disclosed the reduction in product interest rates as well as the extension of time for customers to recover their belongings. The experiences that other individuals were going through were very simple for me to sympathize with. Since I was a young child, I have called this city my home. Due to the fact that it has provided me with so much, I am always looking for ways to give something back. Rick was optimistic about the future and anticipated that the economy will recover in approximately 6 months. He expressed his confidence about the future. This did not happen, which is a big disappointment, As reported by the Daily Mail, the gold and silver pawn shop, which had previously brought in more than $1 million yearly, brought in just $337,000 in the year 2020. This was due to the effect of the COVID-19 epidemic upon the business. In addition to this, Rick was forced to cope with the stress of a divorce from his third wife, whom he had married in September of 2020. Not only was he facing challenges in his business, but this was an additional obstacle for him to overcome. TMZ was able to get court documents that revealed Rick and Deanna had gotten emotionally distant from one another to the point where it was no longer possible for them to continue their marriage. Rick claims that their preferences, points of view, and tastes had become so dramatically different from one another that they were unable to get along with one another in their marriage. A further point that was brought up by TMZ was that the divorce may have been unnoticed by the general public because it took place in the midst of nationwide demonstrations against George Floyd. In an interview with TMZ, Rick stated, "I got 3 great daughters out of it," alluding to the children that Deanna had gained from her former marriage. In addition to this, he disclosed that the marriage was unsuccessful and that the choice to divorce was made by both parties. In continuation, Rick stated that he had gone on with his life. Recent images on Rick's Instagram account that demonstrate interactions between fathers and daughters give the impression that he continues to think of his stepdaughters as his own. As an illustration, on August 7th, he wrote about going off-roading with his stepdaughters, which is an indication of the deep relationships that exist between themselves. The fact that he has demonstrated comparable sentiments toward a number of his stepdaughters is a positive part of the scenario. Rick was able to handle everything despite the challenges that he faced with the assistance of his son Corey. In the following year, he tied the knot with Amanda Palmer, who would become his 4th wife, with the goal of constructing a more prosperous life together. As a result of the fact that he was dealing with legal concerns that included his mother, Joanne Rue, things had become more difficult pertaining to the family. According to USA Today, Rick's mother has filed a lawsuit against him about the ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop, as well as the assets that belong to the family. The civil lawsuit was submitted to the state court in the state of Nevada. Disagreements over problems of finance had a significant influence on the relationship between them. Additionally, Rick was accused of breaching a contract in the complaint that Joanne submitted. She brought up the fact that she had been married to his father for over 60 years, which is the reason why she was given his 49% part in the pawn shop after Richard passed away in 2018. According to her, on the other side, Rick had her sign over her 51% ownership of the pawn business to him when she was in the hospital in the early 2000s, shortly after she awoke from a coma. She said that this occurred while she was in the hospital. She asserted that she did not have a complete comprehension of the document that she was signing at the time. Fans who had been following this story had always believed Rick to be a family-oriented character who would not betray his family for financial gain. As a consequence of this occurrence, Rick was depicted in an unflattering light, which was a result of the fact that followers had always thought him to be such a person. On the other hand, it appeared as though he had gone through the same thing with his own mother. She said that she had not been given precise documentation on the more than $500,000 in cash and silver that she felt Richard had owned prior to his dying. She believed that Richard had possessed these items before he passed away. Furthermore, she said that Rick had stopped sending her monies from her late husband, who had been providing her with consistent installments of $25,000 in the past. Rick had been sending her these funds. The reinstatement of that money through the justice system was something that she wished to accomplish. It was said in the report that Rick's mother, who was over 80 years old and suffered from a variety of health issues, required care around the clock, which might cost as much as $155,000 each month. In order to prohibit him from selling any of the family's inherited property, relocating or hiding monetary assets, and doing anything that may lessen her interest in the family company, a temporary restraining order had been acquired against him. This order was issued in order to prevent him from doing any of these things. As a further requirement, the court mandated that he create a constructive trust in order to give up ownership of her belongings. There was a significant number of people who supported Rick who were worried that this would put his financial condition in jeopardy. After the event, Rick said in an interview that he believes the allegations are without merit and that he believes other individuals are attempting to exert influence over his mother, who is 81 years old, for their own personal gain. He stated, "I have tried to get in touch with her on numerous occasions over the past few months, but I have not been successful in doing so." He claimed that he learned about the restraining order request from the media. He also stated that he had tried to contact her on numerous occasions. "My mother is truly fighting for a business that she owns and runs by herself from the ground up." The disagreement continued until 2024, which was the year that Rick experienced the greatest amount of sorrow in his life, the passing of his son Adam, who was 39 years old. The medical examiner's office in Clark County has determined that the cause of death was an overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine. This conclusion was reached after extensive investigation. The fact that Adam had not been seen since the 17th of January was reported by another resident, which prompted the expression of concern. Adam was finally discovered by the landlord to be unresponsive, and on January 19th, the landlord reported the issue to the respective authorities. By posting a picture of the two of them together at a restaurant on Rick's personal Instagram account and captioning it with the phrase, "You will remain in my heart forever," Rick broke the devastating news to his friends and family that his son had passed away. On January 22nd, Laura Hitch, who serves as the family's spokeswoman, announced the news to the public by writing, "I am in love with you, Adam," and adding an emoji of a broken heart underneath her statement. Adam was found to have died from what seemed to be an overdose of fentanyl, as was revealed. A tremendous sense of loss has been experienced by the family as a result of Adam's leaving. Hitch urged that everyone respect their desire for seclusion while they were going through their grief. In the meanwhile, Rick issued a statement in which he addressed the issue and emphasized the significance of tackling the fentanyl epidemic in our nation with a greater degree of seriousness. On Instagram, Corey, Adam's elder brother, also posted a flashback photo of the two of them from their younger years. He captioned the photo with the phrase, "I'll always love you, Bubba." It has been reported that Adam Harrison worked at Gold and Silver Pawn before transitioning into the plumbing industry. However, he was not featured on Pawn Stars during his time there. Adam did not appear to be interested in coming on the show, according to Corey, who disclosed this information earlier. Rick manages to maintain a cheerful attitude and conceal his anguish behind his profession, despite the numerous challenges and misfortunes that he has confronted during his life. In addition to his company, Rick has recently started to become interested in political activities. In the years leading up to the year 2020, he had previously disclosed his endorsement of Donald Trump for the presidency and Daniel Rodimer for the 3rd Congressional District of Nevada position. During the year 2022, there was speculation that he may run for governor of Nevada. Rick has said that he is now considering a bid for a seat in the Senate of the United States of America. There were a number of people in the party who had brought it up with him by the year 2024, and he had always considered it. In spite of the fact that he has not yet settled on a choice, he is keeping all of his alternatives open to him. By becoming a colonel in the Kentucky Army in November of 2023, he accomplished yet another significant goal that he had set for himself. In the course of an episode of the Pawn Stars spin-off that was largely shot in Locust Grove, Rick was honored with the greatest honor that the governor of Kentucky is able to confer, which is the title of Colonel of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. As far as his private life is concerned, there are reports circulating that he is in a serious relationship with a nurse from Las Vegas named Angie Pushkin. In a statement, Rick said that he had first seen Angie 6 months prior. She is employed as a nurse in the city of Las Vegas. Recently, the pair marked Angie's birthday by traveling around Europe as part of their celebration. Moreover, Rick shared a number of photographs on Instagram, which depicted the couple dressed for a fancy evening out in Paris. This provided the audience with an insight into the nature of their relationship. It is important to keep in mind that Angie is not Rick's real mother, and that she is a considerable amount younger than Rick. Following the posting that Rick made about the Eiffel Tower, a number of people began to speculate about whether or not he was seeing someone who was too young for him, accused his gorgeous and well-educated girlfriend of being a gold digger, and inquired, "Does she like some of your money?" It turned out to be a vile Pawn Stars fan. The perceptiveness and intellect of Rick were put to use in this situation. He did not allow himself to be baited, and instead went on to engage in a wide variety of other interesting activities with his lately discovered sweetheart following that. As part of their celebration of Pushkin's birthday, they went to a performance by Adele in Las Vegas in June 2024, met with Donald Trump, a contender for the Republican presidential nomination, visited a few sites in London, and increased the intensity of their celebration. Fans are holding out hope that he will eventually be able to overcome the death of his son Adam and regain wholeness, despite the fact that he has been through a lot of difficulties, such as legal challenges, commercial failures, personal catastrophes, and failed marriages. In addition to the fact that he is no longer working full-time at the pawn shop, Rick is presently taking advantage of his retirement by spending time with the people he cares about,